best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again, and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, the podcast where two best friends and comedy writers ask each other questions and give each other answers. I am one half of that podcast, author of How to Fight Presidents, senior writer for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and earthquake survivor Daniel O'Brien, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Soren Bowie. Soren, say hello.
Hey, everybody, I'm Soren Bowie. I am a writer for American Dad, TBD. You know, we're on hiatus. There's always a chance that we don't get picked up, all that. But yeah,
used to be TBS.
Oh,
bang, 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 bang.
Listen, there's something new about our podcast that we should probably let people know. If you are enjoying hearing the sounds of our voice on, I don't know, iTunes or wherever you listen to Apple Podcasts, I guess is what it's called. Yeah. You can also watch a video of this. You can watch Daniel and I talk to each other from thousands of miles away. And
I think people are going to be disappointed because you have long hyped that you are filming this podcast from a garage surrounded by paint cans. And that's like one of the most consistent comments that I've heard is people saying, I can't wait to see the paint cans when you guys go on video. And now did you dramatically turn those cans into great art? What is that behind you?
I'm going to apologize quickly to everybody who's just listening to this because we're about to describe a lot of shit, visual shit. But I did all of this about 10 minutes ago, like hustled through it, like I'm sweating. If you wanted to get a glimpse at the sad disorder at the heart of my life, the paint cans are still over there. There's shit on the floor. Back. But look, a plant. So
hey, some life.
Yeah, I pulled this picture out of my attic and I dusted it off and I was like, it doesn't matter where it goes, hang it.
I would like to thank Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Skip all the meal prep hassle and get Factor's delicious, fresh, never frozen meals delivered to your door. Head to factormeals.com/QQ50 and use code QQ50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. Thanks to ASPCA Pet Insurance for supporting Quick Question. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/question. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. There was some real panic setting in while I was trying to get all of this set up, and my fiance is both the artistic one and the smart one and the tech one. So it was her ring light that I was trying to set up, which is just a simple, it's a thing on top of a thing, and there are screws involved, but I just couldn't solve it myself. And she was on the phone, and I didn't want to like visibly beg her or like get her to stop doing her important work, but I also couldn't make any grounds on this setup. So I just had to like hold it and slam pieces together for a while. So if she caught me out of the corner of her eye, it looked like I was making progress, but I'm just like killing time until her phone call ends.
Yeah, this is a brand new setup for me as well. We tried to do video a while ago. We tried to pulling back the figurative curtain as well. We tried to do this. And I was the bottleneck because my computer wouldn't update Chrome. It wasn't recent enough that like I could actually use the most recent version of Chrome, and we couldn't do video without it. And then I also was like, all right, well, I'll get my work computer. And then I was like, what are all these inputs on the sides of this laptop? I don't recognize any of these. Where's my USBs? My trusty USBs?
Yeah.
And so
they got rid of USB a very long time ago, and it's upsetting because no one told all of the things that I own that we're not doing USB anymore.
Yeah, so now I've got like a billion of these little things that are just like a USB to micro USB, which are just, I was holding out for the next thing, honestly. I do that with fashion too, where I'm like, well, I won't catch this train, but like the next one, maybe we'll see. And generally like every 10 years, I can update the things in my life 15, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. And then by that point, like I've skipped a few generations. You must have felt this with your car. That you were like, oh fuck yeah. There are all kinds of like little iterations of this along the way that I don't even have to deal with. That's just one big leap forward for mankind.
Yeah, when they were touring me around my new Subaru and showing me all the doohickeys and stuff, I'm still sitting there like, you're telling me I could plug my phone right into my car and the music will come out of it? Holy cow. You guys have thought of everything. And they're like, we also have a feature where the car will stop itself if it thinks you're going to crash. I'm like, yeah, turn that off. No, I don't need any of that. Forget that. Forget all that stuff.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. And Colleen's parents were recently in town, and they have an older car, and they're driving with my daughter, and I have Spotify in my new vehicle, which means that like at any point I can listen to fucking anything that was ever written.
Yeah.
And we listened to Lion King a lot, and she was in the car with her grandmother, and she said, I want to listen to Lion King. And my grandmother was like, yeah, me too. But that's like just not how that's not how anything works. That sounds great. Honestly, that sounds awesome.
Which Lion King are you listening to?
Okay, so she likes Just Can't Wait to Be King, which is and Hakuna Matata, obviously, but like Just Can't Wait to Be King was one that my son performed at like a end of the year performance last year, and she was just on board, like everything about it. And
I could have been more specific with my question. Is it animated Lion King or the new one with
it's OG Lion King?
My Boss John. Okay, cool. Yeah,
it's old school. It's Mr. Bean Lion King.
Yeah, the correct Lion King. This is not what the podcast is going to be about. The podcast is not going to be about anything. But since we're talking about it, the bass in Hakuna Matata fucking owns, and I'm so tired of myself for saying that. This is where I feel like my inner Chuck Klosterman is again rearing its head with like an incredibly brand specific thing for me to pull out of Lion King is just listen to the bass line in Hakuna Matata. It is so much better than it needs to be. I used to know the name of the guy who recorded it. He is dead as hell now.
Okay.
So forgive me, Dead Bass King, but it's just so fucking good. They really let him go nuts on that track.
Really? I guess I got to listen to it again. I'm pretty good at like spotting a good bass in something, but that's surprising. Okay, I'll listen to it again. I know that I will.
It's during like the instrumental break. So if you're listening to it with your kids a lot, they might not care for that part. They might just want to start the song over and or get to the singing. But it's in that when the montage that shows that time has passed and it's just instruments and voices doing like
it's also them
eating
bugs and stuff like that. So there is, I know a bass slide in the part where they're eating the bugs, because that right before he says slimy yet satisfying, like he eats a bug and it's no good, and he makes a face and you hear the bass go boo, like that was gross. But that's the only part I can really point to in that song. All right, I'm confident that
it's a good old time.
Speaking of which, Daniel, and this whole show will maybe tangents, but okay, so the first song I ever learned on bass was Brown Eyed Girl, because Brown Eyed Girl has, for whatever reason, a bass solo in the middle of it.
Bum,
do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
that's what you're calling a bass. I guess that's technically
there
a bass
is
solo,
like vocals cut out, everything cuts out. The guitar player stops doing all the fiddling he's doing, and everybody's just like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, and like all of a sudden there's just like a bass solo in the middle of that song for I don't know, like a bar, and then we're right back into the song. It's very bizarre. But anyway, I wanted to be the star, so I wanted to play that. Then I started listening.
First song you learned on bass is one of the only pop songs in human history that has a bass solo. The confidence.
I was going to play it for the school. And then I started listening to other Van Morrison songs because I like this stuff. Like I'll learn some more of this. That guitar player in Van Morrison, I don't know who's playing guitar in Van Morrison. Yeah. But that guy is allowed to just do whatever the fuck he wants the whole song. There is no guitar like riff to any Van Morrison song. It's just a guy like noodling the whole time. Even in Brown Eyed Girl, which is a very like poppy song. He's just like, I'll do whatever I feel like.
Yeah. So my high school and college band with my older brothers, Lunch Money Criminals, check them out. We are not on Spotify. I don't know how to do it. Someone please help me. But we were hired, not quite as our band, to play a bat mitzvah.
Oh yeah.
And just because like we were known around town as a band, and the bat mitzvah gal liked our music and knew us from like local theater stuff too. And her mother booked us from like play your songs because she likes your songs, but also, 3 hours worth of bat mitzvah music, and I'll give your band something like $300, something absurd. And so we brought in another buddy of ours, this guy Dan, to come and sing a couple of songs because he was a great singer. So we were Lunch Money Criminals featuring Dan, and we were so panicked about learning 3 hours of music because we just didn't have that. And we learned as many songs as we could, as quickly as we could, and like took turns singing. And one of the songs was Brown Eyed Girl, because the bat mitzvah girl was a brown eyed girl. And we figured this will be, everyone knows the song, this will be a home run. We'll do this. And it doesn't occur to us until we're in the song that my brother, the singer, is singing the lyric, making love in the sweet grass. And we're all like looking at each other like, that's not the kind of things we say.
Now
we're singing it to a 16-year-old.
I mean, I'd have to re-listen to the song, but I'm pretty confident. Like, it's behind a stadium. It feels very schoolish. Like some kids fucking at school. Maybe times were just different then.
Yeah, I guess they'd have to be.
Maybe Van Morrison was just having sex with high schoolers, and everyone was like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's Irish.
We want to not talk about this being a video podcast for the entire time, but are you completely aware that you're on camera?
Yeah,
I keep forgetting, and catching myself thinking like, no, you're not allowed to play with the things that you see around you, even though that's all I want to do.
Yeah. I can see me next to you, and so pretty regularly, if you see my eyes dart like this, I'm checking in.
Okay.
Is everything still good over there? Everything?
Yeah. One thing I wanted to highlight, and then we'll stop talking about what we see, because Soren gave a little tour. I
That's
have
so exciting.
This bar behind me. This is where we store our wine glasses and little bottles of wine and liquor and stuff. And
be generous.
Soren,
No,
I
come
don't know
on.
if you could see.
They're not little. Those are big. Those are regular. Those are average sized bottles of wine.
Sure. There's a sign behind me.
Yeah.
You can't
see it.
I don't know if you can see it or not. It says, "Oh Beach."
Yeah.
Because I'm O'Brien and it's Beach House. And also, hey, it lights up.
Oh, it's just became blinding. Like, you can't even read
I know.
it anymore.
It's not camera ready.
Oh, so did you have that custom made?
It was a Christmas gift from Fiancé.
I love that name.
I thought you would.
So she had it custom made for you?
Yes. Yeah, they don't have those just like out at stores.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, what sort of context? A lot of Irish people visiting the beach who are like, what would be nice is the O'Shea that's at the front of the O that's at the beginning of my name in front of beach, because those are my two passions, me and the beach.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's pretty great.
Speaking of things, I mentioned up top, Soren, that I was an earthquake survivor, and you didn't say a word about it.
Yeah, because you're just baiting
so
me.
many
I know
earthquakes.
that you're baiting me. You've lived in Los Angeles. You know that I experience earthquakes like once a month. And
yes,
I'm familiar with the earthquake that you had, and the obviously the devastation and the toll that it had on the entire city of New York and New Jersey, the entire eastern seaboard, I guess.
Right.
And so in the same way that I'm not going to now tell you how cold my garage is,
okay.
I don't want to hear about your earthquakes.
Okay, then what do you want to talk about on the show? You come up with the topic. I thought I had a home
were you
run
in
with
the
earthquake.
epicenter? What happened, Daniel? Did your little wine bottles fall over?
No, nothing fell over and nothing broke, thankfully. It was 20 seconds, and Jackson didn't even notice. I wasn't sure it was an earthquake, because you know how these are. Sometimes you think it's like a big car rumbling through or something. and I did eventually realize it was an earthquake and did fucking nothing. I did absolutely nothing. Not that I to do things differently, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but certainly not freeze.
I think that's pretty common though, because people are like freezing to see if it gets worse, and which is like obviously like then what are you going to do if it's like way worse? Like now you're stuck in a position. But that's normal. That's normal behavior. I think one of my proudest moments, Daniel, was when I was in bed. We were asleep, and an earthquake happened. My children's room, to give you like the layout of my house. We're in a bedroom. Across the hall is my children's bedroom. And I didn't really have a plan in mind for like what to do if there was an earthquake with my children. But I woke up, so I'm in my purest form, threw a pillow over my wife's head and ran to my children's room.
So if debris came from the ceiling, it would land on the pillow?
Yeah.
Nice. That's
yeah,
good
or like
stuff,
we have a
buddy.
thing hanging above the bed. We have a big, I don't know if you've ever seen The Shining. There's a big naked picture of an African-American woman on behind our bed, just like Scatman Crothers has in The Shining.
Sure.
And I don't want that falling on her, obviously. But yeah, I threw a pillow over her head and then ran to my children's room. They also say don't move in an earthquake because it can like throw you like 10 to 15 feet in any direction. And there's stairs right there. But I needed, I needed to be there. That's where I was. That's where I should be. And so I ran there and was just like in that room with them. We've since then talked to them about like what you're supposed to do in an earthquake. Do you, in case this happens again for you, do you know what you're supposed to do?
Am I supposed to get under a table that's like tilted?
Like a little drunk? Like it's like really going off?
Yeah.
No, I think that's dated.
Okay.
You do want to get near something that's solid. So like, if you have like a big desk or something like that, you don't want to get underneath it. I can't remember why. I think maybe it can crush you or something, but you huddle right next to it. And that way if stuff falls, it falls in like basically a triangle on it. And that leaves a little gap for you to live in.
That's the tilt I was talking about. We're both right.
Yeah, we're both right.
You know what really bummed me out about the earthquake is I wanted to do what I think is a very natural and normal response. Go outside, look for the other neighbor men, and all say earthquake to each other.
Yeah.
And then leave. And no one was out there.
No one came.
There was no one for me to say earthquake to.
That's such a fucking bummer.
I know.
Yeah, we all go out in the street.
Yeah.
Still.
You gotta.
Yeah. And also it feels safer somehow out there. I guess that's not true because the palm trees and stuff, like obviously not where you are, but like trees and stuff can just fall over. But yeah, like my instinct is like, get outside. The house is the
right. It
problem.
does seem less likely that you'll be crushed by something violent outside.
Yeah. I also don't think that you're to blame for not knowing what it was immediately. I'd say that the majority of the earthquakes that happen in LA, and I know to expect earthquakes, they run through their course and then they're done. And at the end of it, I go, oh, that was an earthquake. Like I don't, in the moment, I never know. It's, I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah. Is that the dishwasher? Like what are we dealing with here? Like what's vibrating the walls?
I work a lot and I go to the gym a lot and we are planning a wedding this summer. So there's one thing I don't want to think about. It's what I'm going to have for dinner. Eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. Looking for gourmet meals? I always am. Try meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus, my favorite vegetable. What are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up for your springtime goals. Head to factormeals.com/QQ50 and use code QQ50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. Factor meals taste great, but better than that, there's no fuss, no mess meals. There's no worrying about if you have the right ingredients or going to the store. Factor makes it easy. Factor meals eliminate the hassle of prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Simply heat and savor the good stuff. Factor is your solution for fast, premium meals without the need for cooking. Head to factormeals.com/QQ50 and use code QQ50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next one. That's QQ50 at factormeals.com/QQ50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. What else?
So I took my kids. I have a story I want to tell you.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
No, it's camera. I can't look at my phone when Soren talks. Shit. Oh, no.
Go ahead. So, yeah, great. I took my kids to Colorado, which is where I grew up, my hometown. And I took them skiing and snowboarding for the first time. Twice we went.
Wow.
Now, my biggest fear with it was that we would go to Colorado, which already costs quite a bit of money. We would rent gear, which also costs a bunch of money. We get lift tickets. Like, we do all the things that I would start to get very stressed out about because of the financial investment in it. And then my kids would just be like, I don't want to do this. Or like, I'm cold. Or something like that. So I think I've talked about on the podcast. We did a soft launch first. We went up and just sledded. Like, we used to go to this place nearby LA where there isn't actually a ski mountain. So there's not a lot of tourism, but there is snow, and we just go sledding, and it's great. And they did great there. They didn't mind the cold. They could spend all day out there. They could hike. They could do all the things. So I took them up to the ski mountain thinking, okay, I think we can do this. And still, like, emotionally preparing myself to be like, just take it easy. Like, it's their first time. If they don't want to do it, don't force it. I ended up with the very first time that we rode a lift, I ended up going back down, snowboarding down with my daughter over my shoulder, carrying her skis.
Not into
furious. Fucking furious. So mad at her.
Not that amount of money, but I was hanging out with my nephew last summer, just like hang out on the beach and go to the boardwalk. And there was a retro arcade in Asbury Park where you pay whatever you pay to get in. And then you just have an hour of free arcade games and pinball. And we waited online, and I went in there, and I was like, all right, buddy, an hour, go have fun. And he played like a game. And then he said, Uncle Daniel, do we have to do the full hour? I was like, no, you don't have to. Of course you don't have to.
No, but...
You want to go outside?
What do you want to do? You want to go fucking kick a ball? What do you...
Out to the free outdoors? Sure.
We're going to hike? You want to go play some baseball with me? Yeah, that's sort of how
Did your son enjoy it at all?
Yeah. Well, they clearly enjoy things differently. My daughter does get obsessive about stuff. And like, when we were at the bottom of the hill and we were just like, I wasn't even taking them on the lift at first because I wanted to get them used to even the idea of getting off of a lift. If you haven't skied before, you have to get on the lift, which is its own complication, and then getting off the lift. When you're brand new to this sport, these are like the worst things they could possibly throw you into head first. Getting on the lift is tough. Because you don't even at that point know that you need to, like, your skis need to be facing forward, or your snowboard does, which is like an awkward position to have it in. And then getting off the lift, there's like a little hill that you have to go down and then a big turn at the end. And if you don't make it, you crash or you stop too soon. And then they have to stop the fucking lift for everybody who's on the lift, for hundreds of people while they get you squared away. So he was understandably nervous about that part because I was hyping it up. And then, so we worked at it at the bottom of the hill. He was on a snowboard. She was on skis. And we're kind of like getting used to the idea of it. She already wants to go on the lift, like, immediately. And she is the type of person who, if she's not getting it at first, she gets very frustrated, but she wants to keep doing it. Like, she wants to like push through that because she's like, sees that everybody else is doing this. My son is the opposite, where if he isn't good at it at first, like, fuck this sport. This is not a thing that I do. And that's how he's felt about everything, like swimming. Like, he's like, I just won't be a person that swims. And I'm like, I don't think you understand how long life actually is. Like, you can't just be a guy who doesn't swim. And so I kind of have to like, I kind of have to like, nudge him.
Yeah.
You want to say something about swimming, Daniel? Do you swim? Can you swim?
I feel like I'm a guy who doesn't swim. I can not drown and I can survive. But
that's what I mean. Like he was not into the idea of ever even learning how to tread water or doggy paddle or anything like that.
I see.
Even like getting his face in the water. He was like, I don't like it, so I just won't ever do this. Like, it's not going to be your choice a lot of the time. I'm so sorry. Stuff's just going to happen. So at the bottom of the hill, like I was getting them all ready. I got them psyched up and like figuring out how to like do the very fundamentals of it. And I rode up the lift with him because I knew that snowboarder, it would be much easier for me to hold on to him than it would be to hold on to her. And then my mom, who hasn't been up on the mountain in a very long time, rode up with Colleen and my daughter. And Colleen, I think, has been on skis twice in her whole life. So she's also brand new to it. When we first started dating, I took her snowboarding and like did the same thing with her at the bottom of the hill. And I was young, so maybe I wasn't the best coach, but she got so frustrated and mad at me that she was crying and throwing snow at me. And we were like, let's not do this.
Wow, that's awesome.
You'll just be a guy who doesn't snowboard.
Yeah.
And so she's new to skis. Somebody needed to light. It was also a 3-person lift. So it's just like the practicality of it was like, I couldn't go up with both kids, and be responsible for both of them on the lift. And so my mom, who is a really good skier to her right, because she lived in Aspen for so many years, she rode up with my daughter and Colleen. They got up to the top of the lift and immediately, the beginner skiers are going to do what they think they need to do, which is snowplow, which is you make that wedge with your skis where the 2 points are almost touching and you're making what's called like a pizza pie or like a pie. Sure. And that's how you slow down on skis. So they immediately do that. But when you're getting off a tiny little lift with other people, like there's not enough room for all the skis to be doing that. So like they all just like all their skis just flared out and hit each other. And then everybody went down. And my mom went down and I was like, oh my, like I shouldn't have done this. Like, this is serious. Cause she's in her 70s and I was like,
sure.
What was I thinking? Like, so we went over and got her up. She ended up being fine. But, I hadn't even like considered the possibility that I should have like, didn't even tell them like, oh no, it's really good when you're getting off a lift for one person to kind of go first and then like kind of file out down the lift. Yeah. It's just these things that like are so innate in your mind that you're like, why would I tell them that? Everybody knows that. And then afterwards felt so badly. And then that like really set the tone for my children, which was my son was very scared and like skid and didn't want to do anything, didn't want to try to make turns or anything like that. And then my daughter, we got about 15 feet down from the lift and she just laid down. It was like, I'm done. I'll sleep here.
Did they think they wanted to ski at any point? Did you like get them excited and show them videos and everything? And they were like, yeah, that's the thing I want to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a lesson I learned very early with him, which was like, you show them like what the fun of it is, because it's never going to be fun up front. Like there's like the learning cost and then you get into like the fun. But if the more you commit to the learning, the faster the fun comes. And that's a very tough concept to grasp, even for me now. Like there's things I just won't learn for the same reason. It's like my ego won't let me.
Because some things are fun right at the beginning, start to finish fun, and they don't require an earned fun at all.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we be doing those? Yeah. So they were ready, and they kind of flip-flopped on like what the sport they wanted to do. Eventually they both had landed. They went through ski. Like they were like, we want to ski, we want to snowboard. And eventually they both landed on snowboarding. There just wasn't gear small enough for her to snowboard. Mm-hmm. So she ended up having to ski, which was a good thing. I mean, it was like, you can stay up on, I don't know if you've ever tried. Have you tried both?
I have, yes, I've tried both. I went skiing one time years and years ago, and I owned a snowboard. And so I in my memory, I feel like I must have tried it. We all three of us had snowboards. I don't seem to have any memory of using one.
Probably it just went great. Went super smooth for you, and that's why you don't remember. It's not memorable. Snowboarding is a much harder sport up front but like way easier later on. So because I guess they each have their kind of like pitfalls, but like on a snowboard, you don't have to worry about crossing your skis or like what you're going to do with poles or anything like that. But you spend most of the day on your ass. Like you get up, you fall down. You get up, you fall down. Skiing, you can stay up a little bit easier. Like it's easier to stay up. Right. But both of them like really, it made me realize again, like, oh yeah, this is a really hard sport. You have to understand the concept of an edge and like how to dig your edge into the snow. And then also for my son, with snowboarding, there's like, you're leaning either onto your toes or your heel. And that's, so you got your toe edge and your heel edge. Mm-hmm. But there's like in between there. If you're going to try and make a turn, if let's say you're on your toe edge and then you're going to make a turn, there's a period of time where you're flat-footed and pointed directly down the mountain. It could be like, if you get good, it's not long at all, but that's a terrifying thing to constantly commit to, where the board is pointed straight down the mountain and you're flat-footed on it, because you just start to pick up speed immediately. And so like your instinct is to lean back, but then you can't, like, you don't have the weight on that front foot to do the turns that you need to do. And so like getting him into that position was horrifying. And like he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. And I was like helping him, like holding his hands. I ended up walking down most of the mountain with them, but I'm like trying to guide him. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go into a toe turn now. We're going to go into a toe turn. And I'm like, you have to lean forward. And the minute this board picks up speed, your instinct is to lean back. So he's like leaning back. I'm like, you're doing it because you're scared. And he just like breaks out into tears. And I'm like, no, no, that's not, I'm not saying.
I didn't call you a coward.
I'm not saying what you think I'm saying to you. I'm sorry that it came out that way. Like, the problem is not that you're scared and you need to stop being scared. Everybody feels the way that you do. This is perfectly normal, but you need to like commit to it. And there's nothing else I can say to you other than just try. And so it was a lot of me like walking back things that I said, because he's also particularly sensitive to that kind of thing. And then just like pure rage at my daughter, where I'm just like quiet rage, where I'm like, I can't yell at you because like, of course you're tired. We didn't even do a nap today because we came up to the mountain, and she's gone limp. She's gone like ragdoll. And so I'm picking her up by like her jacket and stuff, like a mother cat picking up her baby by the nape of its neck, like just like her collar, just like picking her up, like trying to set her back on her skis, and the whole body just like falling down into the snow again. And so eventually, and not talking, like giving up on talking to us, anything. So finally I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to carry everything down. So I'm like carrying down the snowboard, skis, and her. And I was like, this is not tenable. Wait a second. I'm a great snowboarder. What if I just carried her on my shoulder? That's super dangerous, but I think I could do it. And carried her down and got a lot of awes from the chairlift. Like people, I mean, not me.
You got to get something out of this.
I got a lot of
Spent
people
so much goddamn money.
Me just seething on the way down, being like, what am I gonna say to her? And then nothing. Like I put her on a bench. My mom eventually came down too, and she's like, you should go back up and help Ronan and Colleen. And I was like, I don't know if I should leave her. She was like, I dealt with you. I know how to deal with this. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's a good point. And so she stayed with her. And when we got back down, Gilly was in a much better mood. Nothing ever came of it. But I was like, I'd prepared myself too. And I was still so angry. Yeah. So I was like, you don't have any concept of what we did to get you here. You don't know what this means.
Yeah. I wonder how that must be so confusing, being a very little kid. Already in your life, you have no money or land, no control over anything that happens to you. Yeah. And you, I'm sure, get used to a routine of being shoveled along from one adult to another. And sometimes you're in school and sometimes you're not. And sometimes it's the park, whatever. And then one day it's just like, oh man, dad went nuts today. And now we're in like this totally different place. And there's all these people around and all this stuff. I had to learn a bunch of new rules and everything's scary. And then the next day you're just not there. It's like, oh, phew, I hope that weird bit of madness never happens again.
It is very much like that for her. I was just like having a dog. Like, she knows she's having a birthday soon, but has no real concept of when or if it happened. Like, we'll get through a day And she'd be like, was my birthday today? Like, no. No. You're gonna know when it's your birthday. Or she'll be like, well, also in what time of day it is. She always asks, like, is it a school day today? And I'll be like, yeah, we talked about it last night. We're going to school today. And then sometimes like we'll get through a whole day and we'll be eating dinner. She's like, is there school today? And I'm like, you just went. We just talked about your day at school. Yeah, today was a school day. Am I going back?
And it's fun to add a new thing into that. So now she'd be like, hey, are you going to wrap me up in padding and shove me down a mountain? Is today one of those days? No? Oh, good.
Today one of those days where my feet get wet and I'm freezing and I don't like it? No, we don't. We're not doing that today. 67 degrees
we can't
here.
afford it today because of you.
I mean, just from growing up there, I know kind of when they stop checking tickets at a certain point in the day. And it's absolutely crazy that I should have to pay a lift ticket for everybody in my family who's just going to ride the bunny hill once. I was like, nah, I shouldn't have to do that. So I work with them at the beginning of the day. We eat lunch. We work again a little bit. And I know like around 1:32, they're going to stop checking lift tickets. And I see it. I see it in the line. And I'm like, here we go. So I go and get my family all over there. We get in the line. And this guy just comes out and only checks our tickets. And I was like, fuck. And so I have a ticket from a few days before. He scans. He's like, this is expired. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, my new one's on my other jacket. I left it in the cubby. He's like, just bring it when you come back through. And I was like, yep. He's like, as long as the rest of your family's good. And I was like, oh, no. And so we step out of the line. I have to go buy tickets for everybody in the family to go ride this fucking chairlift once. And then my daughter didn't even ski down the mountain. Honestly, heroic. It was heroic of me because I didn't blow up. I didn't get angry. I didn't scream. I was just like, I've seen this happen a million times. I grew up watching other families do this on vacation. It's not going to be me. Oh, I want to so bad.
And you just can't put it anywhere. And then a bunch of people on the chairlift are giving you awes because you're carrying your daughter. And it's like, no, I don't. Just let me nurture my anger a little bit longer. Stop.
Yeah. And they're giving her awes. And I'm like, she doesn't deserve it. And you just got to swallow it. Like you just eat that up. And then it goes down into you and becomes cancer.
Yeah. That's how it happens. I love my dog Jackson. I've talked about him on this podcast a million times. He is part Jack Russell, part Dachshund, all heart, baby. But he's 12 years old. He's an old soul with an old body and a young mind. He's great, but dogs get sick. Dogs fall down the stairs. He falls down the stairs all the time. And I love him. He's my whole world. He's the best, even if he can't do stairs that great. Your pet is also one of a kind, and so is their journey. While every playful moment is a memory in the making, sometimes our cats and dogs are a little too good at getting into trouble. That's why you should check out ASPCA Pet Health Insurance, like I've checked out for sweet Jackson. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you and me to help our pet get the care they may need. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for over 18 years. That's so many years in dog years. And they've helped more than 600,000 pets during that time. That's a lot. They also allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are. Because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. Scary. It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/question. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/question. Again, that's aspcapetinsurance.com/question. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. Fun trip otherwise?
Yeah, actually, it was really fun. It was really great to go there. It's very fun. As I told you on the last podcast, I brought home a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
a lot of close calls on this trip.
So I own a gun now. There's a lot of rules, turns out, with a gun that I didn't know. I took it and I shot it at a shooting range. And then afterwards I was like, I think I would like to have some ammo that I would just have at home. And so I go into this ammo store and I was like, hey, I'd like to buy some ammo. And they're like, all right, that's fine. Here, we just need to see your driver's license and your birth certificate. And I was like, oh, I don't have my birth certificate here. And they're like, do you have, like, you could just send a picture of it to this email. So like, I'm sitting there over on the side and like looking for any time I've ever had to like fill out a W-2 and send my birth certificate somewhere. Finally, I find it. I send it to them and the guy's like, okay, and the gun that you have that this is for, is that registered to this address? And I was like, oh, it's not registered. He goes, you can't have an unregistered. Like, oh, I'm like admitting to a felony essentially.
Right. It's very funny. And you want to be like, look, I think all of our gun regulations are great. I think it's awesome that we do it. And I understand why you're doing it. I like the background checks, all that stuff. If anything, there should be more regulation. But like, I'm just like a normal guy. So just like sell me the ammo, please.
Yeah,
and then I'll be out of here.
Look at me. I'm cool.
You're doing great. It's a great thing that you're doing. But I'm not going to do any of the bad stuff that you're worried about. Come
over
on.
and over. Over and over, I was just holding my hand out and showing it to him, being like, look how steady that is. Look how steady. Just give me the ammo. Like, what's the big deal? But like the look that I got from this guy of like,
what's the worst that could happen if you just give me this ammo?
The look from this guy of like, you fucking idiot. Why didn't you register your weapon? I was like, so how do I? I was like, I just went and picked it up from Colorado. And he's like, is it registered there? And I was like, no, because I also know that in Colorado, you don't have to register your weapon. So I was like, no, it's definitely not registered there. It's old. It's just this 22. I just brought it here. How do I register? It's like, well, you got to go to the DOJ website and you like tell them the serial number. You got to probably send them pictures. In fact, most of the time they want to do like a test of the weapon to make sure it's safe. Wow. I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot. Maybe I'll just be a guy who doesn't own ammo, who still owns an unregistered weapon, but doesn't own any ammo. But no, now, so like, the other part of today that I have marked off is like, all right, I got to go through the DOJ and get this fucking gun I don't even want registered. Yeah. This ancient gun that barely fires.
And then I'm really excited to watch this sudden, surprising, sharp turn into Libertarian Soren, who doesn't want the government involved. Just
it's because it occupies so much of my life because I had to figure out, like how to get my firearm safety certificate and stuff like that all before I got it, and figure out how to get it on an airplane months in advance. I've been learning so much about firearms and just gun ownership. I had to take a test on gun ownership, so I had to like know everything there was to know about gun ownership. There's nobody in my life that I can talk to about this. Like nobody wants to fucking hear about guns, but it's the only thing that I'm like doing right now. and so I try to like, every once in a while I'll try to like throw into a conversation with Colleen, and she's like, oh, why are you telling me about this gun? I don't even want you to have this gun. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want it either. But here's some information about it. Here. So yeah, it's been, I tried to show it to my in-laws when they came. They're like, we don't want to see it. I was like, okay.
It's a real shame Robert Evans moved out of California, or he might still be in California, but like far enough north that it might as well be a different state. Yeah. Because he loves guns in all the ways that you want a person to love guns that don't throw up any red flags or anything like that.
Right.
He really appreciates old guns and treats them respectfully, but also is very open about like, yes, I also like loud thing, go boom, shoot thing, which is like a thing that I will go to my bullet-ridden grave thinking that gun owners all think guns are really cool when they make loud gun noises, but so many of them refuse to say it. I understand it's like an overcorrection because they want to, the line that you have to walk as a responsible gun owner is this is for protection, and I don't want to have to use it, but I have it because there are bad guys with guns, and if any of them come into my house, then I want to be able to protect it. And I've talked to those people, and I'm always like, yeah, and also like, guns are cool, right? Like, just say it, and they don't say it, and that's how I know they're lying.
Yeah,
because it's like, yeah, protect the, you don't. It makes you nervous. You don't want to have it. Protect the family from evildoers. I get that, but also,
guns are great. They're fun.
We saw the same movies, right? Yeah. Matrix was cool when they took all those guns, right? Just say it. Don't lie to me.
It's just this.
And Evans was always very open about like, yeah, guns are cool from movies, and also respect.
Yeah, he's a guy who's like, if there were I wish that there were stricter gun regulations. I would happily give all of these up. I paid a lot of money for them, but I also understand that it's silly that we're allowed to own these. And he's like, yeah, but I like owning them because they're really fun to shoot and stuff. Like, they're really fun. And I'm like, yeah, that's everybody. That's every single person. It's also it's a shortcut to power that feels really nice. Where like you inherently know it. It's as soon as you have one in your hand, you're like, oh, I'm a way more dangerous person now, and that commands respect. And so you,
oh boy,
I know. I think that's true. I think that's true of everybody. And I'll tell you that the minute that so this gun also had a holster with it. My grandfather had this fucking rad. It's like cool leather holster with a belt that you like put the 22 long rifle bullets in and everything. It looks like it's from Blood Meridian, honestly. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
The minute I had this belt and everything and I got it home, I was like, and now time to put on the belt and put the gun in the holster and go look in the mirror. Yep. Here we go. There it is.
Got to do that.
Oh, this looks cool. When can I wear this?
Right.
Not even to the range. There's no conceivable way that I would ever wear this holster with a gun in it in my entire life, except when I'm standing here looking in a mirror. And boy.
Yeah. It is very much to bring things full circle. Like, oh, I'm going to pick up a bass guitar when I'm 12 years old and start learning it because I like music and I want to play music and I'm going to learn how to do it. I'm going to do my lessons. I'm going to do my practice. And then when everyone's gone, I'm going to take my shirt off and I'm going to put the guitar on a strap and I'm going to carry it in front of a mirror and I'm going to make faces because that was the real reason for all of this. That's the whole reason for everything is like, look how cool I look when I'm jumping, carrying this bass guitar.
You have to know how to perform as well as play the instrument. There's nothing worse than watching a band that has not practiced this in front of a mirror. Like every single charismatic lead singer that you've ever seen or like really great guitarist, like they did that's all rehearsed. Like they know what looks good because they've practiced it over and over and been like, oh, that looks good. That doesn't look good. Oh, what I'm doing right there is not so hot. And then they just make this basically like they distill it down to just the very cool moves. And it all looks so effortless and natural because that's all they've practiced over and over and over again.
We were playing a show years ago and there was another band called Spiraling, which was another piano band. And the guy had his microphone, the singer was also the piano player, and he had his microphone on like a stand that he could like bat out of his way when he wanted it clear so he could just sing. And there were so many times where he would like bat it to the perfect spot and bat it back and like very casually duck his head out of the way of getting hit by the swinging mic stand arm and make it look like he is just like doing a little Stevie Wonder head move. But the three of us in our band were watching this and like, this fucking guy practiced this. That's a lot of work. That's some really good mic stand timing that this guy had to work out by himself to make it look so effortless.
Yeah. That Justin Hawkins, who's the lead singer or was the lead singer for The Darkness, he has this theory about Corey Feldman because Corey Feldman has his own band. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Corey Feldman and the Truth Movement.
There we go.
I think I've talked about this the last time that we did video podcasts, how annoyingly proud I'm going to be every time I just know something and now the audience can see I'm not looking it up.
Oh, right. This is big for you.
Yeah.
Fuck. I forgot how big this is going to be for you. Yeah. Okay. So he's got this theory.
Even though I'm assuming every listener at home is like, no, we We figured you knew Corey Feldman's band name. We didn't. Not for 1 second did we think
Don't doubt that
you
you
lost
would
that
know the
information.
Corey Feldman, there's a lot of footage online of Corey Feldman fucking up on stage. Like he's like starting a lick and he's like getting really into it, and then he goes to sing and just bucks it, like hits his teeth on the microphone and stuff like that, where you're like, oh, that looked terrible. And like, you can't like even start the song. And Justin Hawkins is convinced that this is all intentional, like that this is performance art, because he also is very keenly aware of like where everything is on stage at all times, and like how to hold a microphone, like where it's going to. Watching Corey Feldman, he sees all of that in him. He sees like his ability to do that. And then every once in a while, there's just these like crazy errant things that are impossible to do, like these accidents that are just impossible when you know it that well. And he thinks that that's all intentional to build like an audience, I guess, or like get people's eyeballs on his shows. Or it's performance art. He doesn't really know what, but he's like, no, this man clearly is he's a front man. He knows what he's doing, but every once in a while he just fucks up colossally.
He certainly, there's Ascension Millennium is a music video of Corey Feldman's that I've watched 10,000 times. I did Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder about it years ago. And it's a mostly one long tracking shot of him going through his mansion, or a mansion that he borrowed from a much wealthier friend.
Yes, I remember it.
Here's my pool. I'm going to do a little dancing. And there's like a good portion of the music video is him trying to put a glove on and failing at a very basic task. You think that's on purpose?
Yes. Well, I don't. I think Justin Hawkins thinks that's on purpose. Because he also doesn't stop. I mean, here are the options that you have in that circumstance. Is if it's not working and you're in the middle of a long take and you like put it on, there's some pageantry you can do where it's just not working and you just toss it or whatever. Like, there's ways out of that. He does not take any of them. He fucking can't get it on. Got to do this other move real quick. Now I'm going to start trying to put it on again. Got to do this other move. And so, I mean, I'm kind of with him. I guess I got to watch more Corey Feldman and the Truth Movement. Yeah, that's better. Truth Movement's better. It sounds less like he's taking a shit.
Yeah.
I guess I got to watch it again. But I do remember that video. How insane it is. It's like a super crazy.
It makes him a much better artist if all of this is part of the performance, if it's all intentional. I like that read on him. I don't think I buy it, but that would make me respect him a whole lot more than I do now, which is none respect.
Yeah. Right. Well, he just seems so unself-aware. And if that's a bit, like committing to that and knowing it's going to make people hate you I respect that.
Yeah.
Well, we got to where we wanted to be, which was Corey Feldman and the Truth Movement.
We did, yeah.
So we can probably end the show now.
Circle moments, yeah. You can. The show is Quick Question, but you knew that already. You could find the show on Twitter. You can watch this on YouTube. If you're just hearing it, you can see our faces this whole time. And I did. I'm going to give myself a 7 out of 10 for active listening, because there were definitely a few parts in the ski story specifically where I think noticeably receive and check a text message, and I'm constantly reaching for and playing with different things that are around my desk here. But 7 out of 10 is what I'm going to stick with.
That's solid.
Anyway, yeah, you can watch this on YouTube and see if you agree with that assessment. We are on Patreon. We are releasing fun bonus episodes now with some kind of regularity that I will talk about later. Our show was by the incredible Me-Rex. You could find them at bandcamp.com/Me-Rex. And you can email the show at qqwithsorenanddaniel@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram and on TikTok. And I believe that's it. If anyone wants to put my band on Spotify, please do that. I tried and it's confusing.
I think then they make money from it. I guess you weren't really doing it for the money though.
That's a great point. And have it me make money from it. And if it costs any money to get on Spotify, you do that cost. And then I don't do it. But then I make the money. and then we don't speak, you and I.
Do you only ever have records from live shows, or did you actually like go into a recording booth and record tracks?
We have a whole like 5 or 6 song album. I played you most of it. Do you need me to do it again?
I think I'd like you to come up with a reason that I have to listen to it. All right, bye.
Bye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all the why do we know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, 2 best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.